Okay,
So this is the Maynard Zoning Board of Appeals. It's January 22nd, 2024. Oh, it's now 7:27 p.m. and we've been having some connection challenges on our remote meeting. So to introduce ourselves, I'm Paul Shiner. I'm the chairman of the zoning board. And with us tonight, we have Leslie Bryant, Paige, Paige, yeah.
Safiga.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
And Jerry Colbert.
Good evening.
So normally we would have 5 voting members and 1 alternate. And what we don't have tonight is that 5th member and the alternate. So for us to conduct any business, it would need to be unanimous. I don't know if any of these meetings would be unanimous because we haven't had that discussion yet. But what we can do is go through the minutes, approve those, and then case by case, we'll leave it up to the applicants, the petitioners, if they want to continue it to another meeting. And unfortunately, that's about the best we can do right now. So the minutes, I assume the other board members have read through the minutes. Any comments? No comments, shaking of heads. So then I would need a motion.
and those are the minutes of,
Oh, excuse me.
December 18th,
Yeah, last year.
Yes,
Yeah,
Right, last
December
year.
18th, 23.
So I make a motion to accept the minutes of December 18th, 2023.
I get a second?
second.
Jerry seconds. Any comments? Further comments? Anything?
No, they look good.
So all in favor, Leslie,
Yes,
Paige,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes,
and I'm a yes as well. So the minutes are approved. You can publish those, Bill.
okay, thank you.
Now, the public hearing, the first one up is continued from 11/27. It's a special permit application filed by John Malin, 55 Glendale Street, Maynard. Subject property, a single-family dwelling in an S2 zoning district, a pre-existing non-conforming structure due to insufficient frontage, front setbacks, and lot area. The applicant requests a special permit to maintain the existing non-conforming frontage and setbacks, but further exceed the 15% building coverage maximum to construct in addition to the residence. This was continued from November of 23. And because we have no surplus voting members tonight, I'm asking Mr. Malin if he would like to continue it to another meeting.
Well, Mr. Chair, may I give the board a little background on this just to catch them up?
Sure.
The Malins were in, this was a, if the board recalls, in November, and the board, if I understood, was more or less comfortable with most of the information. They asked them to provide illustrations and a couple of details, and what I would recommend to be, I think it'd be the most efficient, would be for the Malins to show you the new material and see if the board is comfortable with what it is. And if anybody's not comfortable, maybe then they could make a better choice if they wanted to move forward or not. But I think they provided what the board asked for. And if the board was willing, I could go ahead and pull it up and you can take a look at it. Or I could give it to the Malins and they could share it. I could give them screen capabilities, whichever is their preference.
So the Malins, I see you there in the video. Is that what you would like to do? So,
Yeah, that would be great if you could review what we submitted. And if there's any further questions, we're more than happy to go through that with you.
Do you want me to open it, Kristen? or do
Sure.
you wanna
Yeah.
open it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't trust our capabilities.
Okay, I'm not
trust
sure I trust
his?
mine.
Yeah.
After this, yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I don't. Let's see here. Okay, agenda center. Okay, ZBA and Glendale. There's a plot plan, there's addition, and there's the revised plot plan. So let's start with the addition. Let me think. This is it, the preliminary review. Yeah, okay. All right, I'm gonna share it now and you can narrate it. Or tell what we're looking at here if I. Okay, share screen, where'd you go? Where are you? Got a lot of stuff open. Okay.
Drum roll.
There we go. Well, there we go. Okay, can you see that now?
Not yet.
There we go. Now we got it.
Okay. Okay, this is the first one. These are look like the interiors. Is there any? I'll just go through this and the board can, the Mellons can let you know if there's anything in the board, you can ask anything if you want, and I'll go page by page here. This looks like the floor plan of the existing and the new.
Yeah, I think what the board had really wanted last time was like a detailed illustration of what it would physically look like. So on the other pages, we have, a color illustration of what, yep, there we go, of what it would look like. So essentially, it's just an extension off the back of our house for 1 bedroom and 1 living room.
Oh, there we go. There we go. The board was concerned about the aesthetic continuity, and I think this is a good view here.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to tie in pretty beautifully to our house. I know that there was some concern about what this was going to make our neighborhood look like. I can assure you that under my supervision, we will not do anything that's ugly. This isn't even, it's not even viewable from the street. So unless you were trying to break into our house from the backyard, it's not something that anybody would notice. And all this does is allow us to affordably add the fourth bedroom that we need. So all of our kids have their own bedroom, and it gives us a little bit extra space. We're kind of busting through the walls here with 3 kids in a house that's under 1,300 square feet. So for us, this would really, really make a big difference in our lives. So I think another concern that was raised in the last meeting was somebody was worried that we would rent out that unit. That's not going to happen. It's a bedroom for our oldest child, who is a 3rd grader at Green Meadow. There's no plumbing going in there. It's literally just a spot that he can have, and in a living room that we can spread out in.
Okay. Bill, I saw on the website another addition, which was the surveyor's plan with some marks on it.
Yeah, I'll pull that one up now.
Yeah, because there were 2 of them there and I got confused. And I think it was just slightly different numbers.
Okay, this is the
You want the top one, I think.
12.4, there we go. All right, I'm gonna try it again. Let's see if we share. Can you guys see that?
Mhm.
Yeah, might want to rotate it.
Oh, here's Bill Crenshaw. All right.
There we go.
You see that now?
Yep. And so this, the question I had on this, and, you know, feel free to explain it ahead of me, but these are the final measurements that you were going to build against, is that right?
That's correct.
And so the setbacks on either side are within allowable without any special permitting on the widths.
Correct.
And so the only issue that you're in conflict with the zoning numbers is the lot coverage, is that right?
Correct.
Correct.
And just to play devil's advocate on that, if the driveway was permeable, the lot coverage would not be the problem, is that right?
I don't know if the driveway was permeable. I don't know what that means.
What you saying, not not have it paved, or?
Yeah.
Right, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. Is the
Right.
driveway entering into this calculation?
Oh, not the 21.17. That's just the
That's just a structure.
building structure. If you go down
Okay.
further, you'll see the maximum impervious is 26.33.
Okay, thank you.
Right here, it's on the bottom here.
Yeah, I missed that. So the number we're looking at is 21% versus the requirement is,
The impervious is still under
15%.
by
So,
40%. We're at 20.78,
yeah, okay.
26.6,
But
26.
the building structure itself, we're talking 15 versus 21.
Correct.
And if we did submit another document that shows the comparable overages in our neighborhood.
Is that on, the okay, you mean, in the adjacent properties?
Right.
Okay, we can do that
Correct.
next. Let me just see if before I get off of this, let's see if the board has any.
Leslie, any questions?
So, so there is a paved driveway now?
Yeah, you can actually see it on the picture that we're looking at right now. The picture on the left-hand side, you can see a car. That's where the driveway stops.
Yeah. And so if they had a permeable, that changes things? That changes our calculation if it were a permeable driveway?
Well,
No,
that's a
on
different
that-
category.
That little table there, Leslie, the maximum lot coverage 15% goes to 21. That's independent of the driveway.
Oh,
The pervious, they're okay because it's 26 out of 40.
mm-hmm.
I can pull up the staff report, kind of explains the ask, I think. If the board would like that.
So my interpretation on this is all they're looking for is our blessing on the lot coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Paige, any questions?
No, I think the information that they provided addresses or is what I was expecting to see.
And Jerry, what do you
No,
think?
I'm good. I have to repeat what Paige just said. This is what we had asked for, and I think they've laid it out quite clearly so we can, visually see it. I think it looks fine.
Okay,
I do, if you wouldn't mind, Bill, I do want everyone to kind of see our adjacent neighbors and their coverages, just so you can kind of get a sense of what our neighborhood looks like compared to what we have
Sure.
currently.
Which we're in line with.
Are you done with this, Mr. Chair? And
yeah,
I'll put the,
I think it's
see
called
here.
Exhibit C.
All right, give me a minute here. This is, I want to get that. I think. All right, stop share. Let's close that one and let's open. That is Exhibit C. Is that Exhibit C, you think?
Correct. Yep.
All right.
We have dogs sleeping and they're snoring behind us. So if you hear that, it's not us, it's our dogs.
Sure.
They're Boston Terriers. They can't help it.
Oh, yes, they do. My son has one of those.
Really, they're very snorty.
Yeah, they are. Okay, let's see here. Okay, share. I think I can do this and I'll let you guys narrate it. Yeah. Can you see it, folks?
Not
Getting
yet.
there.
It's coming. Okay. Yeah, if you can maybe increase it to like maybe 60% or 70, just zoom in just a little bit. Yeah, right there. That looks good. So our lot is number 166. That's 55 Glendale Street. So as you can see right now, with no addition, we're at 15.83% of coverage. You can see 167, our direct neighbors, they're at 21.64. And on the other side of them, they're at 23.22. Across the street from us at lot number 172, they're at 24.3. And then next to them, they're at 20.66. Down the street is at 28.72. So really, those are all in the S2 zone. So to us, we kind of feel like, putting on that addition really brings us more in line with what our neighbors have. Again, it's not a gaudy, gigantic, ridiculous addition. It's just kind of putting us in line with what the rest of the street looks like.
Any questions, Leslie?
No, I just would remind them that I think they made a pinky promise that when they cut down that diseased tree in the backyard, they'd plant something native to replace it.
Yes, absolutely. We want something pretty to look at for sure.
Good.
Paige, any comments?
No, not at this time.
Gary?
You can put that in the condition too, if you want, Leslie, if that.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
The thing that I'm wondering about, sort of a minor point, but they're saying that they're not gonna have plumbing in that back addition. And I'm wondering if that should be a condition of the permit.
Sure.
That's fine with us.
Just acknowledging, for future generations that that building is, just extra bedrooms kind of stuff.
Right.
Oh, if it is,
Yes,
it's
we're
1900.
it's okay. We're fine with that.
So as Bill was suggesting, you've gone through explaining the latest documents. And our normal thing here would be to close the public part of the hearing, deliberate, come up with a motion and vote on it. But because we're short tonight, Bill, I'm thinking that we sort of outline our thoughts as to pro or con, and then close the meeting after they've decided whether they want to go forward with it or not.
Yeah, just to explain so the Mallons understand, you probably figured this out, but what this requires for a unanimous vote, and we have a comment. Oh, I'll get that in a minute. So I just want to be cautious that everybody's good, and we don't have any reservations about it. I mean, from my perspective, I think that everything has been addressed that you had brought earlier, but I don't vote.
Mhm.
And the board has at this point they've offered to close the meeting or close the hearing, and that would prevent new information coming in. On the other hand, I don't know if there's anything they'd want, so I will, at this point, just leave it to the chair to, figure out the best way, he's most comfortable with. And, there's also a comment from the public, Mr. Chair.
All right, so Natalie, what would you like to comment?
Sorry, my only comment was procedural. Is the quorum for your board 3 or 4?
We
Before.
have 4 people that need to vote to make a motion pass.
Okay, no, I was just, okay,
Same as us, same as us. For if it's a special permit, that's not
Ah.
now with the new laws, there's some changes. But, and yeah, same as us. Meaning planning board. Got both my people here.
So let's start the straw poll here. Leslie, are you tending to approve this?
Yes, with that caveat about the tree.
All right, Paige, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, nothing here concerns me. I'd be willing to vote for approval today.
We have to
Jerry?
be careful. I don't think we can actually do this like that.
Oh, why not? It's more fun this way.
Because I like my job.
All right, so why don't we close the public comment period? And then form a motion and vote.
Sounds good to us.
So I need a motion or two. First,
Oh,
first
Here,
one
let
to
me-
close the public comments.
I'll pull up what the motion would be if the board was inclined.
yeah. But make a motion to close the public comment portion of tonight's meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals.
I'll second.
Second,
All right. All in favor? Leslie,
Yes?
Paige,
Yep.
Jerry,
yes,
and I'm yes as well. And so now, we need to vote or prepare the motion and then as if it's in the favorable way. And then we'll put the condition on it that I'm proposing about the plumbing.
Okay, here is the,
What do we got? There-
Ooh.
Oh, yes, we have to go through all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Bill, for keeping us honest. I forgot about all that stuff.
in the end, yeah, the criteria is considered, but what what the board is determining is that the proposed use, the benefit to the town or neighborhood outweighs any adverse effects. And this is what you're considering is this. And then the vote will
Right.
go with this.
So as Bill's trying to keep us on the straight and narrow here, do we have any comments on anything here of the 6 characteristics that would be adverse?
No.
We have considered all 6 conditions as appropriate and find no adverse effects. Is that correct?
correct.
Yeah, I think that's correct with the conditions that I think Mr. Chair, you and Leslie mentioned to address potential impacts on the environment and neighborhood character.
And the purpose of putting in the plumbing caveat is to keep it as a single family.
Mhm.
Leslie, do you agree?
Yes, that's fine with the, mhm, with those two.
So, again,
added
Bill,
in.
I thank you for keeping me honest here. I need a motion. And that would include this condition of no plumbing in that addition.
And Leslie's tree.
Okay, so, well, I'll make a motion to approve the application for a special permit for 55 Glendale Street, provided that, there be no plumbing, in the addition, and that, they will, replace the tree that they have to cut down, with a native tree.
All right.
But
Now,
what do you
before we
guys-
rule on that, Bill has his hand up in the air.
Oh, and given that, oh, did you want to interject right now? Go ahead.
Oh, I thought you were done.
Oh, given that, the board finds no, adverse social, economic, or, no adverse impacts to the social, economic, or community needs, no issues with parking or traffic, nor with the adequacy of public services, the neighborhood character, nor impacts on the environment that cannot be mitigated by planting a tree or by fiscal impact.
All right. So Bill, is your hand still up?
I don't know what happened.
Oh, you just wanted to disrupt the proceedings, I know.
I was waving.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right, so Leslie couched the motion, do we get a second?
Second,
Jerry seconds. Any further discussion? Nothing. So we'll vote, an affirmative is to approve. Leslie,
yes,
Paige,
Yes.
Jerry,
yes,
and I'm a yes as well. So we have 4-0, that motion passes. And now I give it back to Bill to put the timeline on when what happens.
Well, also Brad is on his way in. So folks, what'll happen, I will, I'll draft up a decision over the next week or so. And at that point, we'll send you a copy. The chair will sign it and it gets, filed with the clerk. It takes 21 days, and then you, assuming there's no appeal, we notify all the abutters. So if there's no appeal, you can pull permits from that.
Awesome.
Okay. So I'll be in touch in the next couple of days.
So do we have to get that through the registry of deeds as well?
What you'll do is when it's, our clerk at the court, I mean, at the, of the town,
Okay,
and once you have the certified decision that there's been no appeal,
yep.
that's what you get at the registry of deeds.
Oh, okay.
And you want to get that registered. And the reason for that is because the building commissioner, we have a safety mechanism, and where the building commissioner won't issue your permit until it's recorded, because that way you always have a permanent record that it's a legal modification. And if you didn't, theoretically you sell your house, they'd say, well, this is not legal, and so this is for you. That's why we do that. So I'll be in touch. It'll probably take me till Monday till you hear back from me or so, but we'll get it.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah,
much,
thank you.
everybody. We appreciate it.
All right,
Bye.
folks.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
good luck.
Okay, Brad's coming on in a second here. I still haven't heard from John. I don't know. Hope he's okay. And Brad got held up with another something unexpected happened, so he's. Brad, can you hear me? I see him, but I can't hear him. Brad, can you hear us?
He's on mute, I think.
Yeah, he is. He's
I just
muted.
asked him
There.
to unmute.
There
There
we
he
go.
goes.
How's that?
Oh, there you
Perfect.
are. Oh, thank God. All
Okay.
right. We've had,
Sorry about that. It just small emergency.
no, it's just that, oh, it was just, it's just been a challenging, technological. All right. Anyway, Mr. Chair, we're on to the next one. I will, stop sharing the screen if I haven't. Let's see here. And, okay. There we are. I will let, Mr. Chair, I will ask on this, are you gonna go, you're gonna go right to Riverside?
I could, or I could do the other one. In order, we have Riverside coming up
Right,
next.
as a continuance, correct.
Yes,
And, maybe you can, it's probably, this one's probably better if you recap today what we were talking about, if you don't mind. And,
oh, put me on the spot, would you?
well, I can do it.
So let's start by opening this particular, or continue opening the continued hearing. And then we can get into the discussions of some of the points where we left off last time. So this is a public hearing of Riverside Park special permit filed by Dominic McConaughey for Riverside Park, Maynard. The applicant is requesting a special permit to extend the existing setback, we're calling it the front on this case, non-conformity, in order to construct an addition to the residence. And where we left it off last time is we wanted to get some feedback from town council on special permit versus variance versus the requirements of our findings. And I believe that's the big issue, right, Bill? Yes?
Correct. There was a clarification on the interpretations with the one bedroom, with one single family home, two single family homes versus multifamily and commercial.
Because what we have in our bylaws in the section 5.1.3, 5.1.4, 5.1.5 is a little bit convoluted, and town council set me straight. To say it simply, it's a variance if it is conforming, and it's a special permit for a one or two family structure. It's a special permit if it's non-conforming. And if it's a commercial property, that's a different can of worms. Did I say that right? Right, Bill? You're on mute again. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically there's a difference with one and two family homes, and what is qualifying for a special permit is an adjustment, a modification, an extension of an existing nonconformity. Were new nonconformity, an entirely new nonconformity created, it would fall under a variance. But so if a project fails in a setback on the one side of the residence, and the extension occurs on that side of the residence, it is not creating a new nonconformity, and thus is a special permit. Were it to occur on the side of the residence where it was completely conforming, and all of a sudden, because of the modification, it was non-conforming, that would be a variance. And that's difficult, and it's confusing, and I understand it, but I think at this point we are comfortable with that direction. And in this case, River Park is, the request would be considered a special permit.
Because it is that dimension
Right,
that is already in the setback nonconformance.
that's right. And
So
the
he wants
difference-
to exasperate that setback to a much smaller distance. Therefore, it's a
Correct.
special permit.
That's correct. And thus, what the board is looking at is, does do the adverse effects outweigh the good for the community by the request? So that's what you're looking at. It's important distinction from that. So with that, I will I can pull up any documents. Dominic had a presentation if you wanted to run through that again, or if you needed a refresher or anything, board. But I'll just go as directed.
So I'm thinking here, Dominic, since it's gone, what, a month or two, I forget when we last met. It might be good if, you know, Bill can put up the presentation. I don't think we need to go through it all, but if you could zero in on the one diagram that is of interest. Because you had several plans in there.
Yeah,
And the one that is the one you want, then we can discuss from that.
okay. Let me share the screen here.
And since we have a full board member now with Brad joining us, that we don't have to worry about the 4-0. We still have our voting options as we would normally.
Can you guys see that now?
Yes,
So just to refresh everybody a little bit on this, Riverside Park is a private road. It stops here. This is all conservation land. There is nothing there's no expansion of a road that's going to happen here without happening on private land. And I don't remember this every slide here, but I'll try to go where you want, Paul.
this is the as is right now that you're showing.
Okay.
And then going from this one to the one that he wants to build, just to show, just
Oh, there it is.
that one, yeah. Is that right, Dominic?
Yeah, that's the one.
And so the question that we had as we were going through this, as I recall, was you've got an awful lot of land there that is not built upon, and yet you're asking to get a special permit to put it right up to the edge of your property. Is that a quick summary? The work?
Yeah, so I mean, we have it's a 1,100 square foot house at the moment, and we also got a family of 3 kids. So, you know, so it's a small little house with, you know, we got the 3 kids, and so we need extra space. And kind of taking into account the kind of the way that we could extend with the least impact on the house, because one of the things that ideally we wouldn't move out of the house with the kids when we do the addition. So we kind of took that into account with the design. And so, you know, so this is what we came up with, working with an architect, and we understood with the special permit, speaking to Bill and Julia, that the other considerations like the environment and whatnot. So it seemed like a good option that we're presenting here.
Just to refresh the board, also, I did converse with the conservation agent today about this to make sure I was refreshed on all this. But this area where could be built, but it would require a variance, and the Conservation Commission feels that this the reason they had weighed in on this, they're going to have to this is going to go to the Conservation Commission next, and they were really discouraging further development and encroachment here. And while they understand they don't have jurisdiction over this board, their thoughts and concerns were here about additional development there. And so that's why this option was presented.
And one of the things that's not clear on this map is that we've got a fence that somebody put in. I don't know when they put it in, but that fence is 12 feet from where that new corner of the house would be into Riverside Park Road, and then beyond that, there's another 3 feet to a Hudson Light and Power utility pole, and then another 2 feet to the actual road. So from where the corner of the new house will be to where the road is would be about 17 feet. So it's not as though we're going to be putting this right up against where people drive or anything. There's utility poles, there's fences, there's and then there's only would be the house.
So from where your diagram says the house ends to where the actual paved or dirt surface is of the road, how far?
17 feet.
So when they're saying you have a 40-foot wide road, you're saying it's actually only 23?
It's not even 23. It's it's a single track. It's a little track road that is for a single car to go on. If there are two cars, you gotta back up.
That's an interesting conundrum when it comes to fire protection. Because those fire trucks need more than a normal car's width to get down.
I believe the fire chief had commented on this. I think
You said he did anyway.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, for us, we have access on White Pond, but I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about the fire access for the other houses.
Yeah, that's my point. The other houses down the street.
Yeah, but obviously we wouldn't encroach on Riverside Park's the road. I mean, well, yeah, I mean that's
So, Leslie, any questions, comments?
I would comment that I've actually viewed this property from inside the fence. I've gone to look at it and gone into the yard to see, and I was dumbstruck by how much space there was, because there are shrubs, and then there's the fence, and then there's a little bit more land, and then this dirt road that's not 40 feet or whatever, and then a little bit more before you get to the rail trail. There's telephone poles that would make it, somebody commented about, oh, what if the town decides to adopt this road? Well, I seriously doubt that's ever going to happen. And there is this fence. Like nobody's really, I'm telling you, it's not an issue. It's not the issue that it looks like if you look at this just on a piece of paper. Like they seem to bear no resemblance to each other. I was really dumbstruck when I saw for real what this looks like. I have no problem with it.
Paige?
Yeah, same. I agree with what Leslie said. I don't have an issue with it. And I think some of the other houses in the area looked close to the road also. So I don't see any issues with community character.
Gary?
No, I agree with the last two statements, and it's just unfortunate that the diagram is, to me, extremely misleading. Because in the last meeting, I was looking, thinking it was on the edge of the road. There was a 40-foot road, but in fact, that's not quite right. But yeah, I have no problem with it. I'm good.
Thank you. Brad?
Yeah, I think that there is the town has, or whoever it is that has made the road has made it so it's 40 feet wide. So that's for future use. As those properties, which are very large lots, get developed down the road, they're going to need to improve that road and make it larger.
Well, that's a private road now, though. That's the thing.
It is, but I have a feeling, I mean, that could easily change at any moment. I mean, if somebody sells a property and you have enough property, enough lots, because they're very large lots, you know, that could be subdivided and several properties could be put on there, and it could get much larger as because there are very few lots in Maynard available, and people are looking to find any lots they can and build on them. So I would
True.
I would worry about having it too close to the road. I too have been out to look at it, and if you take the angle at which it's being built at, it does move it fairly close to the road. And if the road does need to get widened, because they're not going to widen it towards the rail trail, they're going to widen it towards the other direction. I think that could be problematic.
Well, just to be clear, that's a good point, Jerry. I mean, Brad, but I would say that for a subdivision to happen, that's a public hearing process through the planning board, and that would have to involve either acquiring the rights to that road as a private, you know, it would remain private. The town's not going to accept a road without you know, the town just going around is not going to just accept a road and make it public because they have to maintain it. So in this case, I could assure you, if it puts you at ease at all with this, if there was a subdivision where it really was going to be, and I think is that S1 right now, or is it S2? But they would have to have a rezoning as well. So that would be really that would be a public hearing and a town meeting vote if it had to be the zoning change to subdivide it.
Right, and at that point, they would want to make a larger road.
Oh yeah, no question, no question. They'd have to show.
So I'm saying that
Yeah.
that probably is the future at some point, whether it's the near future or many years out. But I think that putting a house close to the official property line for the or the official designated area where the road is a mistake. Most towns and everything are trying to everywhere I know are trying to remove grandfathered houses, or try to get rid of those houses that are sitting there right on the road because of obvious reasons. They're they get hit by things. So I just think that it's myopic vision to just go ahead and say, okay, yeah, you can go up within a couple of feet of the property line, even though the road line, and hope that the road does not get improved. And I just don't think that that's the right train of thought here.
Brad, what you were saying there got me thinking. I went back to part of his presentation where it shows the layout in 1910, and there's about a dozen lots there. They're narrow ones, they're 50-foot wide, but there's a dozen of those lots. Today's zoning, it's not going to be 50, it's going to be slightly bigger, but still, I think you have a valid point that could be subdivided into, I don't know, 6 lots or so.
I haven't done an analysis of that, but what I can tell you is before I use that as a foundation for a decision, I would remind the board that is a public hearing that would have to go through and have to be approved by a multitude of reviewers, including everything from rescue services and so on to public works to engineering. So I don't say that it could never happen. I would say that this is a road that, to be clear, is going into a preserve. It's essentially a driveway that is there, and I don't think that it would be fair to the board or the applicant to understate that to subdivide this, and assuming I don't have the figures in front of me, but I think this is S1 subdistrict, which is 10,000 square foot lots, and if it's S2, it's 20,000 square foot lots. So this is quite a process that we're talking about to render it
Yeah,
problematic. That would
but-
be my,
You know, it's a point valid, Bill, and I appreciate you stating that. But again, I'm looking at this old map. And the name of that road, this Riverside Park Road, had a different name back then. It's called Railroad Ave. And my guess is that is a town road that they simply forgot about, and that's what made it private, because the town didn't want to keep it up. But we couldn't find anybody that owned it. So I believe that's a town road. And
that
they're
is
just-
not a town road. If it was a town road, we'd be out
Yeah,
plowing.
Maine doesn't
maintaining.
plow that road. So
they
we
don't plow it because they didn't want to. It's only a couple of houses.
I think that I would pretty much stake that DPW does not have that on their ownership, and I think that would be I don't think that would be accurate to take that approach. If there's something in the past where a town possibly had it and sold it, I don't know. But as for right now, it is not a maintained road. I mean, you've been out
Okay,
there.
that's a distinction. If it's not a maintained road, that's one thing. If it's a private road, who's paying taxes on it? And you couldn't find anybody that owned it, and there's no taxes coming from it,
I don't know that.
right? So.
I'm not sure.
So this is one of those little leftover pieces that we don't know the answer to, but my hunch is it's an abandoned town road. So
The
that being
town
said,
doesn't, yeah, the town is not claiming ownership over that, and it is, I mean, I can't say that the town has that. It's just that would be that wouldn't be accurate.
Well, we could find out from the assessor's office if who owns that road, correct? I mean, who's paying taxes on it?
Sure. I would say before the board makes a decision based on a couple of these questions, I could research that and have those answers on who pays taxes on it and about the specific calculations for subdividing it, because I can understand if the board right now is looking to determine whether basically the good outweighs the bad. And if the board does feel that the bad outweighs the good, and that's absolutely their prerogative, and it's what their job is, if that's what they believe. But I would not want that decision made upon something that was not structurally sound. And both of those issues, I don't know for a fact that how much subdivision there could even be there, and particularly given the wetlands. I mean,
it's also a
there's-
floodplain, yeah. It's not just that it's wet, and it's also, I mean, it's most of our properties in a floodplain. So if we build, we got to pay flood insurance, which is, you know, it's like many thousands of dollars a year. So it's not even that the lot is entirely buildable at all.
so Natalie, you have your hand up. What do we need to know from you or ask from you?
Sorry, I was just going to ask, if the concern over the private road, which it is defined by the town as a private road. I realize that there may be some concern about what happened in the past, but if the town calls it a private road, it is a private road, right?
I don't know.
I mean, I feel like we need to take the town for what it's saying. If it says it's a private road, then it's a private road. I feel like the history of any specific street in the town, I mean, there's a lot we could talk about the history in this town, but my point is, who let Hudson Light and Power put probably a half dozen power poles down the street? If it's in the middle of the street, that's also a problem, right? I mean, I'm just saying, like, the fence that was put up, who knows when, but if they're inside even further into the street from the fence, if there are power poles going to all three houses on that private road, I just don't see how it's not being considered as more of a driveway issue.
Well, this is why, we're struggling with this one, because the nuances could be, pretty large to come up with a simple answer. If it's a road, you've got two frontages. If it's a driveway, then you just have a simple side yard variance or setback issue.
For
So,
sure. I think part of so I'm on the planning board, so I do get to look at subdivisions. And as Bill was saying, especially in a floodplain, I mean, this is not going to be something that, I'm just trying to think ahead to what that situation would look like. And, if the town were to snap its fingers and say, okay, let's make this a public road. It just feels, and the inevitability, the comments about the inevitability of that just feel, I don't know, man, I've seen a lot, but I can't, when you actually walk there and you see that it goes to the wildlife refuge, which legally is supposed to be maintained as conservation or open space for it's like thousands of years, right? Isn't it?
Nothing's
Because of all the
happening.
contamination, you can't do anything there for literally 500,000 years or something insane. I mean, so that I just the logic that this is inevitably going to be incredibly developed when it's in a floodplain, climate change is real, and it's right next to the site that it's next to. I'm not totally sold on that premise. That's
Well,
all.
board, I'm sorry, Brad.
Oh, it could also be something as simple as the other people that live on that street want to widen the road and make it so it is possible to pass through it.
But
with
there's 40
cars.
feet of there's 40 feet of land, and so even if they wanted to make the road 23 feet, you could still have a 17-foot setback to the corner of our house, with a 40-foot wide road. If you put, and a 23-foot wide road would be for access to 3 houses is like overkill. So even if you were to to subdivide 2 of the properties and have 6 houses, a 23-foot road would still 40 foot of land you could still have plenty of space for a 23-foot road there and have 17 feet to our house. So it doesn't, like in that possible eventuality at some point potentially in the future to raise that objection against, we have this like urgent need of 3 kids in a 1,000-square-foot house, and that this is kind of the least environmentally impact approach. I just don't really understand that.
I think if it would help the board to achieve a level of comfort, because I'm uncomfortable, not having that information. I don't want to negatively affect the vote if I have the information, but my recommendation at this point would be, if Dominic is good with it, I would say we can continue it. I'll get the information on the road ownership as well as the subdivision and get some calculations, just so we're accurate and everything.
Yeah.
If
Just understand, like, what difference does it make who owns the road? I mean, if it's a private road or if it's the town owns it, they still have 40 feet of land. They still if you have to put it in 23-foot road there, it's still, it's.
well, if you're going to put in a road, I believe there's a standard width, minimum width that a road needs to have. Otherwise, it's a right-of-way, driveway, or an alley or something like that. And so then the 40-foot becomes an issue, that's probably what is needed. So it would be good to get those answers resolved. And so I would like to ask if there's anybody else in the meeting that's in attendance here, if they have any comments to this.
Can I say something,
Yeah,
Mr.
sure.
Chair? I feel very uncomfortable considering looking at this and thinking about potential speculative future development and making a decision based on something that could happen potentially in the future. But if we are going to ask Bill to look at what could potentially be developed on this site, I think we also need to amend that request to include consideration of the fact that it is in riverfront area, and including like some of the relevant performance standards that the project would need to comply with, because I think that would also restrict what is allowed. It wouldn't simply be as easy as looking at zoning.
Bill, did you take notes on that?
I did the page. I mean, she's right. Yeah.
I think that future development of the property it should not be the primary concern here. But the primary concern should be if it's going to end up being an improved road, and if the town does own that 40-foot swath, that you should be, that's, town-owned land, and it's not private land. So the setback is getting much closer to the road or the town land. So the closest point currently is 10 feet. The existing nonconformity is 10 feet from presumably that road, which is the only map or the only landmark that we have to go by.
I've done some photos, Brad, that will help to show that the road is actually it's 27 feet from the current corner of the house.
Right, but and that would be if that was the case, then you're then you're conforming, and it's not a non-conformity if you're 27 feet from that road.
Yeah, so I mean, in practice at the moment,
if that was
that's
the
how it
case,
is.
then we don't even have to discuss it because it should. But if you're going to move it closer by taking what we thought was a non-conformity and exacerbating it, then perhaps we should consider at that point at that point it would become a variance because there is no issue with the setback. There is no non-conformity if it's 27 feet from the road.
Well, yeah, so so there's obviously the two things. There's the survey, and then there's what's actually on the ground. And the survey is that it's 10 feet going to 1 foot, and what's actually there is that it's 27 feet going to 17 feet. So that's so you would have seen that when you went there. The telephone poles there. There's a cycle trail on the other side. Yeah.
So are you saying it's not surveyed? The land is not surveyed to the road edge, or what has been surveyed, and what facts do we have here? Because
the
it sounds to
survey
me
is
like
the land that is the road, but the actual road that is physically there is 17 feet, is 27 feet from the current corner. But and then there's a whole bunch of telephone poles and hedges and fences and yeah.
But as far as you know, Dominic, the property as depicted on the survey is accurate.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So you're just saying that the road wasn't constructed to such, right?
Right.
So
Okay.
just let me toss something out here, Brad. When you're talking about the edge of the road and so forth, in a normal environment, sidewalks and telephone poles could be on either the road property or on the private property. And what we're talking about with the front yard measurement, it's typically to that demarcation, not necessarily where the sidewalk is and not necessarily where the edge of the pavement is. And so what Dominic has proposed here is to take his house right to the edge of his property, regardless of who owns the roadway and the land around it. And so our question here is, does this proposal to come up with a 0 feet setback or a 1 foot setback have any adverse effects versus the beneficial impacts to the town or neighborhood? That's what our goal here is, to resolve those 6 bullets that we talked about on the last project or last case. Is it more adverse or is it more beneficial to allow Dominic to build this addition to his house where he wants to build it? I think that's what we have to consider here as we go forward.
Well, considering that he wants to build it as far away from the river as possible, in keeping with the wishes of the Conservation Commission, I think they weighed in, right? And that was, then this seems to be the best spot.
he could also put an addition on the house, which doesn't make it any more non-conforming than it is go to that corner of the house, which is 10 feet according to the survey, and follow that 10-foot setback from the road and continue it down there and put an addition onto that side. That far away from the road, instead of going up to 1 foot. But
I
at the
wondered
10 feet,
about that myself, Brad.
Mm.
It probably would give the architect a real headache to design that, but it is an option of some sort.
I think that keeping the 10-foot setback of that current non-conformity, I think is in the best interest of the town. And I think it's would be more detrimental to the town to have it going to within 1 foot of a potential town road.
Jerry, any thoughts?
I hear what Brad's saying, and 90% of the time I would agree. In this instance, and with things changing from a climate standpoint, and the flood zone, as Dominic had mentioned, and Leslie has talked about from a conservation standpoint, I'm not so sure that we would see somebody come along and decide to pick that lot and develop it and put multiple homes on it. I agree with Brad that, Maine has got a very small footprint and they're scrambling to find property they can build on. But I'm not so sure that building on that conservation area, I'm not so sure that's what they would look to do. So technically, I don't have a problem with this. I did when we had the last hearing until we kind of got through it. And now I have a better understanding also that the road that was built, or driveway, whatever you want to call it, the plot plan shows one thing, reality shows something different. I'm in favor of what the client is looking to do.
Great, thank you. Leslie?
Well, I'm in favor.
All right. Paige?
Yeah, I think I would agree with what Jerry laid out, given that this road does serve only 3 parcels, and if there was a future larger development in the future, I would like to hope that it would go through its own review process with it that would look at the implications of that future development and make a recommendation based on the facts of that case at that time. So just based on what we know today, I'm comfortable with this proposal.
All right.
His neighbor's dock, by the way, is underwater. So I really don't think anybody's going to want to build on those lots further up the road.
Well, they can always take the dam out and then drain it.
Well, by the way, they could sue the town for not having plowed all these years. If it's a town road.
I'm betting it is a town road that they just didn't want to bother because they didn't like the people that lived there years ago. But that's just my spin on it.
Hmm.
So what do you think, folks? I mean, I've asked for comments from anybody else. There were not anything except what Natalie offered. We ready to close the public hearing and come up with our final deliberations?
I think we are.
Okay. Could you make a motion to that?
Oh, no, Leslie's, to close it? Yes,
Oh.
yeah. Yeah, the long ones I leave for Leslie, and I'm happy to second those. The short ones, I don't mind those. So what am I doing? I'm moving to close
Public comment.
the public comment
Yeah.
section of this hearing.
Now, I think we also need, we need to advise the client, or the applicant, that he does have the option of withdrawing without prejudice.
Good point.
If the board offered that as an option, well, it's the applicant's right, but, what would be the advantage of that to the applicant? I don't understand exactly.
Oh, well, then if it's voted in the negative, then he can't come back with something for 2 years, like, I don't
He
know.
couldn't come back, well, he couldn't come back with the same plan for 2
Oh,
years.
the same one.
Right, so if the board was uncomfortable with where it was, and he wanted to move it to a couple of feet the other side of the house, whatever the case was, he could.
Oh, okay.
The only advantage to that, in my opinion, is if there's something that the board was lacking in terms of clarity for this specific application. But it doesn't mean you can't, he could apply for anything he wanted that was a different petition,
Oh,
but
okay.
not the same, right? Good,
Oh,
good.
before we go any further, I see a missing person and I was trying to figure out who it was. It was Brad. Where is Brad?
That's a great question. And great, I'm glad you noticed that, Paul. I don't think I would have picked up on that.
The
Not
only
until we
reason
were
I
doing a
noticed
roll
is all
call
the-
vote.
All the pictures juggled because it was a different number that was making a different pattern on my screen.
He picked up his glove, ball, and bat and left the field.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not good.
No. I don't know what happened. You're right.
So Bill, what do we do now?
I was hoping I could say to him, just to argue, to understand the 23-foot requirement, but yeah.
I'm texting him. I just texted him. Let's see. I don't know. He fell off before and then came back in. So maybe he's having some issues. We can wait a minute.
Yeah, because we really shouldn't go any further without him.
Oh, here he is. Here he is. Let's see if we get him. Brad, are you there? Hey, Brad, can you hear us?
He's
Next.
connecting.
Brad, can you hear us now?
I can. Sorry, I lost my battery to my computer.
Yeah, I thought so.
This is just not my day today, I guess.
It's not your day at technology wise. I'm having the worst ever. At least you're on. All right.
So I
Anyway,
just
Brad's
asked-
back. Thanks, Brad.
Sorry.
So where we left off, Jerry made a motion to close the public comment. Did we get a second?
Second.
Okay, Leslie seconds. All in favor of that, of closing the public comment? Jerry,
Aye.
yes. Leslie, yes. Paige, yes. Brad?
Yes, Brad.
And I'm a yes. So we have closed the public comment. Is there any further discussion before we formulate a motion?
I just wanted to say that I understand Brad's point that if this was if there was a thoroughfare and this had access through to Maynard or something, if it went beyond these 3 houses, there would definitely be potential at some point in the future, possibly that somebody would subdivide and build 6 houses there or something on these 3 lots. But the fact is that, and then there could be more houses, and then to have your house right up against the road might be a problem. But this is, even if there were some houses built here in the future, there would at most be 5 or 6 houses, and there's 40 feet of land there, so you could easily run a road through there if that were to happen potentially at some point in the future. So it seems just to me kind of obstructive to say that that's your concern when there's the other factors like the floodplain, like the environment to take into account. So I don't really understand that concern, and we've obviously spent a lot of time kind of going through this. Every kind of month that we have to wait is very taxing on the family in terms of the very small house and lots of kids, and so it kind of I just don't fully understand that.
All right, thank you for your thoughts. So do we have any further discussion to discuss?
I guess I'd like to say something.
Go ahead.
We seem to be hung up on the fact that when I mentioned that there could be possible future development of the, of the various properties there. And that is all, and that is what is contingent upon improving the road. And I'm not trying to say that. What I'm trying to say is that if it is a town road and there is 40 feet of property there that is owned by the town, and for the future development of the road, we should keep it as 40 feet of future development of a road. And building up against 1 foot away from that property of the 40-foot road that the town may own or may not own, I think is a mistake. So I can't support putting a house 1 foot up against the 40-foot boundary that is on the survey.
So if you had the definitive word from the DPW or whoever that it in fact was not a town road, does that change your opinion?
Well, I would want to see who's paying taxes on that property.
Well, that's
Because
not
if the
what I
town,
asked.
well, I know, but if the town's paying taxes on the property, it doesn't make much difference what the DPW thinks.
Well, let me ask you this, Brad, how could it make you comfortable if I got that from the property assessor, found out who's paying the taxes? I could do this before the next board meeting. And if I got a verification from DPW that this is not a public road nor something that they're interested in. I mean, well, you probably noticed, but DPW doesn't look to acquire roads anyway. But
Right, yeah. No,
but
I
would that
get
make you, would
part.
that put you in a better comfort zone to make
Well,
this?
yeah, because if the three current people that live properties that are on there own that land, then I don't have a problem with it.
Okay,
But if it's public land and it's been surveyed and there's 40 feet there, and then the town does own it, and because nobody's paying taxes on, I mean, the town's, yeah, I mean, nobody's paying taxes on it, then I would say that in the future, it's going to be used as an improved town road, potentially. And that putting a house 1 foot on that line would be a mistake. And that's my concern.
I understand. So just to be clear, I will if I check with the assessor, find out who is paying taxes on that road. Number
Right.
one.
And if
I-
nobody is, and if nobody's paying taxes on it, then it's an abandoned town road.
That I will clarify. I don't know that, but I understand the question, and I could check that with legal easy enough. And then the third question is, does DPW in any, does DPW have any intention of moving forward, or does it envision acquiring this road? And that would that help advance this?
Well, yeah, I'm not really concerned about what DPW has to say, because they're sort of the less people on the, on the totem pole, that know what to do. I mean, basically, they're told what to plow and what not to plow. So I don't think it's from a snow removal issue. Is not what this is. It's like, who owns the road?
Oh, yeah,
And what is the size of the road?
Understood. It's
And
not
that's my
just
only
snow
concern.
removal. Yeah, understood. No, theirs is maintaining the condition of the road is where the cost comes in. So
Right.
it would have to be brought up to DPW. Like when we, just for the board's edification, I don't know if you know this, but every year at town meeting, when we accept roads, we being the town, not Bill. When we accept roads, they have to be brought up to DPW standards. And the reason that that is done is because in the past, the town has accepted roads that were just kind of substandard, not kind of substandard, were substandard, and the town ended up replacing them. So everybody's very, very snake bit about that. So
Sure.
I can find that. So if it's the board's pleasure, and if that makes sense to the board and Brad, if that helps, perhaps the best most effective course of action would be if we continue it to the next meeting. If
Yeah,
Dominic
this is,
can figure it out.
it's an interesting challenge, Bill, what we're discussing here. We've closed a public comment. We have a potential vote on a motion that we haven't said yet. But if we continue it, it's simply to get more background information. Because we could vote to approve or vote to deny tonight. If it could come out 4-1, or it could come out 3-2, is what I'm reading the thing to be. And
Yes.
so if we get your information and come back in a month, what have we learned? What are we going to do any better?
Well, my opinion, remember the charge is the town better off with or without? So if the town believes, or if the board believes that the town, has an interest in this road, or that the ownership is not clear, and that the tax issue, I don't know what I really don't know what the tax issue is. I mean, I don't.
And I go back to my hunch here is that originally it was called Railroad Ave 100 years ago.
Right.
And because it was only 1 or 2 houses, the town said, we're not going to take care of that road, and they just left it and abandoned it. That's my hunch.
And now that is abandoning a road is not unheard of, but abandoning it unofficially and having it absorbed is another story. Typically they do it, they announce that it's abandoned, and then it kind of becomes, absorbed.
So let's play the cases here. Suppose we vote tonight, regardless of our 3-2 or 4-1 kind of thought, then we're done. If the pleasure of the board is to have you dig up this information, we can wait a month. And so the question that I have for you folks is, does that make sense to wait a month?
In my opinion, Mr. Chair, is I'd vote tonight. That's just me.
Okay, Leslie?
It depends on whether the people who would vote negative can be moved by new information. That's what it really comes down to.
Yeah. And so the new information being,
I'm not one who needs to be moved.
yeah, I know you've stated your position.
So a potential 3-2 vote, it passes, is that correct?
No.
No.
No, that's a 4-1.
4-1 to pass. So what I was
Okay.
trying to articulate without saying it is it's either pass or fail. And you can guess that who the unspoken potential negative is. So
Minutes you can pass 3-2, and stuff that's not a public hearing you can pass with simple majority, but not this. You can in certain circumstances now at town meeting, but for our purposes, no.
So Paige, you're meditating and you're silent there.
I just echo what Leslie says. It wouldn't change anything for me.
Yeah. My feeling, because I haven't said much about this, even though I've talked a lot, is I would like to have the best information we can before we commit to something. And so I'm sort of leaning towards having Bill dig up what is the actual status of that road? Whether it's a forgotten thing. Because, you know, even, I'm looking at this old map from 100 years ago, and the road is labeled Railroad Ave, but the plan is called Riverview something, Riverview Park. And so evidently Railroad Ave became Riverview Park. So if we can get that clarified, would it help Brad or would it help me? I think that's what it comes down to, because the other three of you are leaning in the affirmative here.
Well, I think it would help me a great deal, because if this is indeed a private road, and the town and the occupiers of the properties surrounding this road are paying the taxes on it, then I think they can hash it out amongst themselves for future improvements on their road. So I have no problem.
So you would treat it as a side yard setback rather than a road issue. of
Right,
frontage.
especially if there's 17 feet to the current road. A new addition would be put on. I wouldn't have a problem with that. But if it's a town-owned road, I think that would lend itself to future development, potentially of road improvement. That would be a problem if there was a house that was right on the property line, on the side of the road. So I'd like to avoid that from happening.
All right,
And right now, it looks like, a lot of grass and a lot of brush, trees and that kind of stuff. But you go to improve a road, all of a sudden that stuff starts to go away.
all right. So I guess what we should do is propose a continuance to our next meeting.
Which is February 26th, I believe. Let's see. February 26th.
And the assignment bill is to find out the status of that Riverview Park Road.
Right. I'll do that. I'll find out if it's a public road, formerly Railroad Avenue. I'll find out who's been paying taxes on it. And if there's any chance that it is a quote abandoned road. And I will check with DPW just to get any input from them as well. And I'll get that information for the February 26th meeting. I think
And-
that's and if that, I think, if that pleases the board, we could go ahead and move along and keep that as a to-do. And we could come up with a information that helps the board reach a conclusion that they feel they're entirely
Now-
informed with.
We have already closed the public comment period, so this is simply one data point. We'll get that data point and then vote.
You can always, just for the record, you can't reopen public hearing. You can reopen public comment if you ever wanted to. So if we
Okay, I stand corrected twice in one day. Good grief.
sorry, I'm sorry. Wait a minute, look what's happened to me.
So I apologize on this, but we want to get it right. And so I would ask for a motion to continue.
I make a motion to continue the case of number 4 Riverside, or I misspeak, I'm sure I did. 4 Riverside Park until the February 26th meeting.
Do I get a second?
Second,
All in favor?
I
I see all the hands up. Brad?
Yes.
Thank you. So we're all in favor of that.
Okay, thanks,
So,
everybody.
sorry, Dominic,
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
and we'll see you in a
thank
month.
you.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
So the next case, we have one more. Is the applicant still here?
Yes, very patiently waiting. Sorry, Amanda.
So this is a special permit application submitted by Robert Kitty and Amanda Parker of 23 Bridges Avenue, Newtonville, Mass. The subject property at 30 Dix Road is a single-family dwelling located in an S1 single-family zoning district. Per section 815 of the protective zoning bylaws, the applicant requests a special permit to continue use of the existing accessory dwelling unit. And so, Amanda, I assume you're the petitioner. I see you on the screen.
Yep.
Could you describe what it is you want? And Bill is available, there he is over there, to put any diagrams or notes on the screen if you so desire.
Sure. So my name's Amanda Parker. My father, Robert Kitty, and I became the new owners of 30 Dix Road on December 28th. There was a special permit that was granted to prior owners of the property in 1995 for an accessory dwelling unit. And that special permit included a restriction that the permitted use would cease when the prior owners no longer occupied the dwelling. The reconfiguration of the house was previously approved by the zoning board and has been part of the neighborhood without additional change for over 25 years. We're not seeking to make any additional changes to the property or its current configuration. We are requesting that a special permit be reissued for continued use of that existing accessory dwelling unit.
Wow. Clear and simple, thank you. Any comments from the board members?
No.
Brad, I can't see your head nod, so I assume that's a quiet. Everybody
Yes,
else,
I'm being quiet.
yeah.
No.
It's killing me though.
So anyone else wants to, make comment either for or against this application? I'm not hearing anything there. The silence is deafening.
Well, I can make a point of just information if the board would like to hear about ADU.
Sure, you love to make information.
The applicant's petition meets all the criteria of our current ADU bylaw and absolutely is consistent. However, in a good way, right now, as the board knows, the planning board and the ZBA both have worked on an accessory dwelling unit bylaw for the last few years, which will be, I believe, presented at town meeting. And if that does pass, it will make accessory dwelling units by right by approval at building permit time in residential districts. There's a number of reasons for that, which I won't get into now to hold this up anymore. But my recommendation would be that if the board does choose to approve this, as I would recommend, that they make a note that in the event that the bylaw is adopted, that it revert to the incoming bylaw, and in the event it does not, that change it would apply until change in ownership again, and then renew it.
So before we go down that road too far, Bill, I was just flipping through and the accessory dwelling unit does not jump off the page at me. Could you describe it, please?
Oh, that's a good point. Let me pull up the application. I think it's on the agenda in the application there. What specifically, Paul? Here, I'll put the.
We're talking what accessory dwelling unit.
That's
In
right.
other words, a two-family structure.
No, it is not.
That's
That
my
is
point. It's not exactly a two-family structure.
It is not a two-family structure, and that is an important distinction.
I believe it is. According to the Board of Assessors card, it is it's a 103 designation, which is a two-family.
That's an error.
And it's been there
It-
and it's been a two-family for 30 years. Or so. I have 30 years.
Let's see, if we have a valid. And can the board see this?
Mhm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So originally it was a single family house, and then there was an addition put onto it, which made it for the Board of Assessors, made it a two-family, classified as a two-family home.
And that
It was
may be,
used, but it was used as it was, I think the occupancy was based on an ADU.
and that may be, and for tax purposes, that may be the case. Looking at the decision in front of me, 1995, it's specifically called out as an accessory. And the reason is typically, accessory dwelling units have a kitchen. And in this case, there's a current special permit for that. So taxing purposes, you probably are correct, Brad. I don't know. But as a matter of fact, Leslie, you're on this original one.
Ooh, yeah.
And
with
you're a
Malcolm.
celebrity. and yeah, so I would say that and it
year
may
was
be two
that?
family.
What year was that, Bill?
95.
Oh my God. Really? I should get an award.
You should get an award. You should. So Brad, you may be right. I don't say it, but for our purposes and zoning purposes, it is accessory dwelling unit.
So I'm still waiting for an answer.
Oh, what was the question?
What is it? And I finally found it in the definitions, and let me read it to you. An accessory family dwelling unit is a dwelling unit contained within or an extension of a single family structure to accommodate an additional family only if a member of the family of the additional family is related by blood, marriage, or adoption to the owner of the premises, and the accessory family dwelling unit shall contain no more than 600 square feet of area. That's what I was looking for. So an accessory unit is not quite a two-family because you have a relative living in the other portion.
That is under the current, yes, that is what applies now.
And what are
that
you
is
saying
something-
the new one is?
The new one will not require that. But
Meaning,
in this case, where it's the father, Amanda's father, it's perfect for it, right?
sure. So when you say the new one doesn't require that, what is the new one? Does that mean you can simply make a two-family out of a one-family structure?
It's a great question. It's a little more involved, and I can send you the bylaw on it. But in a nutshell, it makes an accessory dwelling unit by right use in residential districts, and it's issued by the building commissioner, who will have his own set of regulations to ensure that the size requirements and the any letting is under regulations and so on. But there are again, that has not passed. It is not up to town. It's a town vote in spring. For this application, the applicant is, as far as I can tell, 100% meets the criteria, and there's no change in the special permit.
So when you were saying that we would want to put some caveat in the vote about the future bylaw that we don't know if it's going to pass yet, do we need to do that?
No. It just to clarify, it just give it probably a level of comfort for the applicant. But if the board just wants to say until a change of ownership, like it is now,
I would prefer to do that because we're
Okay.
betting on something that's less defined than even the last one we did, where it had gone through and it was getting ready to be certified for that last case a year ago.
understood. Fair enough.
can we get rid of the requirement that that says that upon ownership, change of ownership, that the ADU goes away? I mean, do we have to have it renewed, an ADU renewed because of a change of ownership? I mean, what's the reasoning for that?
Well, not necessarily ownership. You're right. It would be a change in the circumstances that allow. Well, we're getting a lot of hypotheticals, but it's a good question because let's assume that the new bylaw, for whatever reason, didn't happen.
Well, I wasn't talking about the new bylaw. I was talking about the current bylaw because
Understood.
the person, the applicant is here tonight because of the bylaw said that the board at that time of the special permit required that it be renewed upon selling the property. And I'm
Yeah,
saying, can we get rid of that condition?
Sure, you can. You can do whatever you want.
I don't see any reason that we should have that condition in there.
Oh,
I
fair
think
enough.
people should be able to sell it and continue on with making it an ADU in the future if they wanted.
The board has that option.
All right. Comments, please. Leslie,
I don't have an issue with it.
good. With Brad's comment about leaving in or taking out the current condition.
About it staying in place if it gets.
If she sells
Oh,
out or whatever.
Yeah. So remove the stipulation. I don't know how you would word that. Remove.
Well, I just in general, you don't have to wordsmith it right now. I'm just, what are your thoughts? You want to keep that in, that the reason that this person is here tonight is because of that requirement that change of ownership means they can't have the people living in there?
Well, is the new regulation going to do away with that?
Yes.
Okay, well then, yeah.
Gary?
I would agree. Yeah, since the new regulation is gonna get rid of it, then. I
Just
agree
leave it
with-
out.
Yep.
Paige?
Yeah, I would agree. I'm fine with that.
Wow, we might actually be in agreement here. It's a long day, and I really appreciate, Amanda, that you're hanging in with us here. As you can see, it's been a long night.
Potential board member, I'm thinking,
Oh, she's very articulate.
yeah, Amanda, I got a couple of openings.
And not to put in a sales pitch or anything, but we do have an opening.
I got a bunch of them.
So
Good people too.
anyhow, where are we? Does anybody want to make any comments? There's a couple of folks in the audience that have been pretty silent on this one.
Oh, and of all people to have in the audience, we have Mr. Crenshaw.
I was gonna pick on him on the last one, but
Yeah, well, this he can.
Oh God, low battery, hang on. Oh,
You really want me to ask a question?
Pages.
No. Just say it's a great bylaw we're working on.
I am curious about the verification of living space, whether it's under 600 square feet.
well, that's what it was designed, right? Back in the 90s,
It is what it's been for 25 years.
and nobody's complained.
Okay, I mean, I was just looking at the assessor's document that didn't seem to jive with that, but that's fine.
Okay.
As long as you're confident it's less than 600 square feet.
Let's see here. Let's look at the
So we're waiting on you, Bill, because you said you were checking.
yeah, I am. I'm just looking to see on the square. I'm trying to see how the decision is written. I mean, it's legal as I don't see the square footage listed on the special permit approval in 1995. However, we have, let's see here. Then it would be a oh wait, here. I would say a continuation of the existing special permit to ensure that it's let's see, there we go. Yeah, I don't see. I don't see that it was called out in the decision, the past decision. However, as it was a legal approval, the safe way to do it would be just that it continuing a special permit as issued.
Yeah, and it was called out as pursuant to section 3.2 accessory use and so on.
Yeah, that
And so
was
you go back to the definition, and the definition would have pulled in your 600 feet, right?
I honestly couldn't say at that time. I have to defer to Leslie. Just kidding. I don't remember.
Can't remember what I had for dinner last night.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I think the safe way to do it then would be a continuation to the existing special permit. And you could say with a modification or whatever you wanted to do, but
All right, since nobody else wants to comment on it, I'd like a motion to close the public comment period.
Make a motion to close the public comment period.
Do I get a
Second.
second? Jerry seconds, great. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Leslie, yes, and Brad, I can't hear you.
Yes,
Ah, good, so we've closed the public comment. So is there any further deliberation that we need to deliberate on?
I just have one question. What is the procedure for turning a property like this into a two-family, as opposed to keeping it a ADU?
oh, you would have to A&R it.
A&R, which means what?
Like have you done that? I don't know if you've done that with us yet. Well, actually, with the planning board, I don't know if you've seen us do that. And A&R is approval not required, where you separate a property that has adequate frontage and dimensional requirements met. So like I'll explain it on Wednesday.
Okay, because
but it's a good question. No, it's a good question.
yeah, because the property
Planning board,
that
we do it. We haven't done a lot recently for some reason, but
yeah,
but you would take it and it would divide the property in half. This does not. That's why it can't. You know, if you had under separate ownership, that would be how it was done.
I mean, I can understand if you were dividing it to make like condos.
Right,
But if you're
right.
if you're just keeping it as a two-family, you know, potential like rental unit or something like that.
Oh, and if it was in the correct district, you could just do it.
Okay.
But
Because
you could do it. You could do it in S1, for example.
so
or S2.
we approved not that long ago, we approved it for the Sherman Thompson Street property.
Park Street.
Park Street, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And that was a single family.
That's right.
And they instead of adding they added a larger thing, and that just went through a special permit.
That's right. Because
So
it was in a.
so could this go through a special permit as well to make it a two-family instead of an ADU?
Let me check. I can't remember the zoning on this. I don't think so.
That other one, I think, was garden,
It was general residence.
general, yeah, excuse me.
Yeah. This one
Oh,
is
the Thompson Street?
This one's S1.
yeah, S1. No, the answer is no, Brad.
On S1, you cannot do you can't have
Two-family.
multifamily.
Right. General
multifamily's allowed in-
residential, if you're in general residential, you could do for example, with a special permit, you could do multifamily. I mean, more than two.
if you had
with that,
7,500 square feet. per-
Yeah, but you gotta go through the planning board dude.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, sure, yeah.
But if it's two family, you just do it.
Two families by right. That's correct. If it's in the general residence. You
Okay.
couldn't do it in S1 or S2.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
So where are we? I wanna go home. How do I do that?
Motion.
We need a motion.
Yeah.
All right, see if I can get this right. Oh my God, I got brain freeze. I make a motion to approve the the application for a special permit for the continuation of an existing, I'm sorry. To allow for the continuation of the existing special permit to allow an accessory dwelling unit at 30 Dix Road with a modification that we remove the stipulation regarding continuation of future home owners. I don't know if that
The requirement.
requirements.
I second.
Well, you guys are getting faster than I could say it. Thank you. Any further comment? We all set?
Hmm.
Roll call. In favor, Leslie,
Yes,
Jerry,
Yes,
Paige,
Yep.
Brad,
Yes.
and I'm yes as well. I have to call out the roll call because of this remotedness. But other than that, I think we're good to go. Now I push it back to Bill to describe to Amanda what happens next.
That's right. Amanda, you've sat through the first one, so it's the same for you, I think. Basically, we'll draft this up and I'll be in touch within the next week or so. And what we'll do at that point is file it with a clerk, and when it's done, you just have it after the appeal period, you have it filed with the registry of deeds, which is they give you a little stamp, and then you're good to go. And you give me that back, and you're set, smooth sailing.
Okay, thank you.
And you want to know? I'll send you where you can apply for a committee or board tomorrow. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Yep.
Have a
Right.
welcome. Good luck.
Thank you
Thank
very much.
Thank you.
Yep. And so with that, what else do we have, Bill? And it better be short.
Mhm.
I got nothing.
Nothing.
I got a planning board meeting tomorrow night.
He's
And
cooked.
on that, we have our Leslie has been really working hard with Chris on the firearms bylaw, and I'm really proud of this board and as well as zoning board. I mean, as well as the planning board for taking these initiatives through and bringing them through. I think that the job on the firearms has been, I think we've crossed all our T's and dotted our I's, and Paul had a chance for the rest of you. I think I sent it to all of you after to come in and weigh in. We
Mhm.
made some nice adjustments, and I really feel good about it. It's going to planning board tomorrow night, so you could all come and cheer us on and vote. Say yes, planning board. This is a fantastic piece of legislation.
And we have what, 2 planning board folks here? They should cheer us on.
That's a good point.
Cheer, cheer.
You guys witnessed, I think, a real struggle tonight, trying to clear up some of those peculiarities. And if there's any feedback, please, we'd love to hear it. From you, Natalie, as well as Bill. So, doesn't have to be right now, you can think about it.
I was just gonna say, Paul, you weren't asking for that now, were you? Because
No, no, it's
I'm
late.
gonna hang up and let you listen by yourself.
No. I just wanted to thank him for being here
Yeah,
and,
agreed.
you
All
know,
right.
listening in, because some of these meetings are tough, some of them are pretty straightforward.
Well, we've got some good boards.
So.
Yeah.
So I need another motion.
Motion to
I'm-
adjourn?
Second,
All right. Everybody in favor, Yay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So again, thanks, Bill, for all your work.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Good
Good
night.
night, everyone.
Bye.